we were in the dogs out there in the yard when they drove up. And the cat was up there. So it just about drove her crazy.
I'm organizing my stuff. Since I was over at David's last week, I had my Bible was on the wrong side. So I had to reorganize a little.
I guess that means Susie's not there.
Susie's here. She's on the phone. I've already talked to her. And the phone
that's another phone.
Oh yeah, I still have a.
Oh, you still have a landline.
Yeah. I rarely answer it, but I still have it.
It's one of those things that you get a little nervous to get rid of it.
Yeah. And it really cost me almost, very little, because it's bundled in with my internet. So.
Yeah, ours was too. We didn't get rid of it until we moved. And in fact, when we built our house, there's no phone jacks in the house.
Yep.
We figure if somebody moves in and wants to use phone jacks, then they can pay for it. But let's be honest, hopefully we're not going to move out anytime soon. And by then, is anybody going to be using phone jacks?
Probably not. Probably not. I debate with myself every 6 or 8 months. Okay, do I really want to keep keeping it? And I thought, well, hey, it's not costing me that much. And actually, I've had a couple of doctor's offices that have called me on that phone, even though I've said to use the cell. So it's probably good that I still have it.
Well, they'll figure it out when they can't get you on that phone,
or when I don't show up for an appointment.
Yeah. Of course, doctors have a weird way. For some reason, Stacy's getting bills for one of her doctors at the church.
Well, yeah, I've had similar kinds, not that particular, obviously not that thing, but yeah, all of a sudden you'll have something weird happen and somebody has picked up something off of a form you filled out that really had nothing to do with where you need your bill to go to.
Yeah, I don't know how they would have even gotten it. It's not like anybody asked for your emergency contacts address of where they work.
They may have you attached to Pisgah Lutheran. And then she's attached to you. I mean, you never know.
I don't know. It's just weird.
Yes, it is.
My mother is trying to get in, and I was kind of holding off. I sent her an email. She said something about that her archived link wouldn't work.
Huh. Well, I just use that we get just before it starts every time. I haven't tried to use the archive one.
Well, she doesn't get the email from the church. So
okay.
No reason for her to be inundated with pray for this person that you've never heard of.
Well, that's true too.
Oh, she shut down her computer. That must have happened quickly.
Ah, she's coming on.
Yep. Or she used something else other than her computer,
Yeah, right.
which I'm guessing because her finger's in the way.
I had to try my iPad
Yep.
because for some reason my computer is not recognizing it.
Probably just a little glitch.
Yeah.
But if you leave and come back when your computer starts up, we'll understand why.
Okay.
All right. So let's go ahead and get started. Shall we pray? Heavenly Father, we thank you for today. We thank you for this time together. We ask that you bless us and that you be a blessing to us so that we can be a blessing to others. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
So we are almost midway through Proverbs. We are starting today with Proverbs 15. And we're going to start with the first four verses. Those verses sort of complete a section that was last week. And so, which you may remember, but it's still, that's where we are, verses 1 to 4. Hold on, y'all are in the way. I got to move the people. A soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. The tongue of the wise dispenses knowledge, but the mouths of fools pour out folly. The eyes of the Lord are in every place, keeping watch on the evil and the good. A gentle tongue is a tree of life, but perverseness in it breaks the spirit. So read through those, and this time do something a little different. Pick out your favorite one or two of those, and we will ask what it is, and we'll talk about it. All right. So, what proverb is your favorite in those four?
I like 1 and 3.
Why?
Well, it's always be better to be gentle than to be harsh. Brings a calming effect. And then 3, the eyes of the Lord are everywhere. That means he's always looking after you and watching over you.
Like Santa Claus.
That could be good or bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm with you. I liked verse 3.
Well, I liked 3, but I liked 4 as well.
Why is that?
Because I think that talks about how we can use our words to heal, and or to crush the spirit, the power of our words.
Yes.
4 is kind of tied to 1 as well.
Yes, I
That
thought
brings
so
the
too.
healing. It's a gentle, got to be gentle.
Yeah, I thought there was a connection between those two.
Yeah, agreed. And you know, I don't know, are any of you the type that can like blow up at like when you go into a store and you're speaking to customer service and you can like get real harsh with them?
That's not me.
No, I take Patsy along for that.
Well, some people do. I mean, that's real. I mean, I think Stacy takes me along for it, but I'm not good at it. And I have found that you can catch more flies with honey a lot of times.
Yes.
I mean, an example, I got new AirPods, little AirPods for Christmas, and one of them quit working. And I looked at Best Buy's return policy on them, and I missed it by a day. A day. And so they're like, well, we can repair these. We can send them back, and, you can wait, yada, 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 to Apple. And I was like, it's a day. And, and I was very kind. And she goes, well, well, I guess I can talk to my manager. I said, would you do that, please?
Yeah.
And she did. And sure enough, new pack, walked out the door.
Mm.
And I guarantee you that, I mean, now some people can be bullied into what you want. But if you get, I mean, some salespeople, they'll dig in their heels and they'll be like, I'm sorry, it's store policy. And they have store policy to stand on.
Yeah.
But I found that if you're kind to people,
Mm-hmm.
they can overlook store policy just because they like you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's as simple as that. And not only that, now this isn't easy, but in my line of work, sometimes it's necessary. Sometimes I succeed and sometimes I fail. When somebody comes at me angrily, it's important to do my best to stay calm and to diffuse the situation, because it's really difficult to stay that angry if the other person isn't engaging or responding in kind. Now, not many of us are good at that at home. I know I'm not. I mean, I remember when Stacy was, when we were trying to get pregnant, which was a 1.5-year journey for us, which is longer than it is for some people, but not nearly as long as it is for some. 3 years. Yeah. I mean, my cousin found out last week that she's pregnant, and it's been 3 years for them. Two rounds of in vitro, I think. I mean, 4 rounds of in vitro. I mean, it's been utter hell for them. I mean, I just remember that 1.5 years. We should have bought stock in pregnancy tests. I mean, I think Stacey peed on one every time she went to the bathroom. But, anyway, her issue was that she wasn't ovulating. And so they put her on, I think it was progesterone. And man, oh man. I mean, the moods that it put her in were like nothing I had ever seen from her or experienced, even since. Like, even when she was pregnant, it wasn't this bad. But the thing is, when I was being yelled at, I wasn't thinking, oh, she's on this medicine, I should respond and keep calm. She doesn't really mean it. Now, I would know that afterwards. But at the time, I didn't. And of course, you better not say that's why. That's like, oh, it must be your time of the month. That's why you're, no, never ever say that. You can think it and you can remain calm, but never ever say it. That's just dumb. But, but when you're in the mix of it, especially with somebody that you're close to, it's really difficult to hold that tongue, to stay calm and have that soft speak. But let's be honest, a lot of times it is so much more effective when you can do it. You can actually get your point across a lot better. You're heard, because when two people are yelling, nobody hears anybody. I mean, that's just the reality.
Nobody's listening.
No, you're loud to be heard better, and you're heard worse. I wish I could, physician heal thyself. But yeah, no, it's, like I said, sometimes if I know I'm walking into a situation that's going to be contentious, I'm a lot more successful at it. If I know that somebody is coming to my office, I mean, it doesn't happen very often. And I don't even remember the last time that it did. But when it has, the times that I have been able to sort of prepare for it, it's usually a smooth conversation.
That reminds me of a saying I've heard about listening. It says that we listen to respond rather than listening to understand.
Right.
Yes. And honestly, with ADD, that's even more difficult, because our mind is going so many different places that I can miss a whole conversation just sitting there thinking about what I'm going to say. And just sort of space out. And then by the time I say it, everybody's moved on to something else, and they're like, where'd that come from? Oh, sorry. Let's move on to the next section. There's only 3 sections in this, but the other 2 are lengthy. I'm thinking maybe the commentator got tired of breaking them up, because this is actually the last chapter of the commentary, because it's in 2 volumes. The importance of instruction. We've heard this before. A fool despises a parent's instructions, but the one who heeds admonition is prudent. In the house of the righteous there is much treasure, but trouble befalls the income of the wicked. The lips of the wise spread knowledge, not so the minds of fools. The sacrifice of the wicked is an abomination to the Lord, but the prayer of the upright is his delight. The way of the wicked is an abomination to the Lord, but he loves the one who pursues righteousness. There is severe discipline for one who forsakes the way, but one who hates a rebuke will die. Sheol and Abaddon lie open for the Lord. How much more human hearts? Scoffers do not like to be rebuked. They will not go to the wise. A glad heart makes a cheerful countenance, but by sorrow of heart the spirit is broken. The mind of one who has understanding seeks knowledge, but the mouths of fools feed on folly. All the days of the poor are hard, but a cheerful heart has a continual feast. Better is a little with the fear of the Lord than a great treasure with trouble in it. Better is a dinner of vegetables where love is than a fatted ox and hatred with it. Those who are hot-tempered stir up strife, but those who are slow to anger calm contention. The way of the lazy is overgrown with thorns, but the path of the upright is a level highway. Read through all those. Pick out a couple of your favorites in there. Also, if you have any questions on them, we'll talk about that too. All right. So which ones draw your attention in that one?
I like 17.
17. Better is a dinner of vegetables where love is than a fatted ox with hatred in it. I do too. Tell us what you like about that.
Well, we're using the meal metaphor. If we still think about it as a meal, if you've ever been at a table and people get angry with each other and say things, I mean, you don't even want to eat. I mean, you really don't. It is, and again, how the importance of love, that even if you don't have a lot of meat and good food, just eating vegetables in the presence of love is enjoyable, and eating where there is hatred, regardless of what is going on around you, you just don't enjoy it.
Yeah, it's a waste of good food.
It is.
My grandfather, until we let him know that he did this, would always tell a story of on Thanksgiving Day that there was one Thanksgiving, they were building the house that they grew old in. And they were, the only time off that they all had was on Thanksgiving. And so they spent the day clearing the land. And so their Thanksgiving dinner was hot dogs over an open fire out there on that land. And so every Thanksgiving he would tell that story. Now it's not vegetables, but
Right.
you know,
It's
that
not Thanksgiving dinner.
yeah, but that for him was, I think, his most memorable and most special Thanksgiving.
Mhm.
And you know, it was, now granted, love was always at our Thanksgiving table, but you know, still, that was, I think, one of those fine examples of it. I mean, and it doesn't matter what you're eating. I mean, like, some of the most memorable meals that I've had have been utterly disgusting, but like, not because it was like, all right, I still remember a time my mother, sorry, mama, made eggplant. You remember that?
Yeah,
It was horrible. And everyone at the table said it was horrible. And we got up and I think we went to McDonald's.
I think so too.
But I remember that. I was like 4 years old and I still remember that meal because we were laughing so hard about how disgusting that eggplant was. It's the last time I ever had eggplant. And
It's good if they know how to fix it. I will eat it out. I haven't tried to cook it again.
well, and everyone is thankful. But yeah, I mean, it was, and my mother's an excellent cook, but even she was like, oh, this is inedible. This is horrible. And I mean, we were all just laughing so hard about how disgusting it was, but love was there, you know, and that's what it's all about. I agree, Diane. It's an excellent proverb. What are some other ones?
I liked number 11.
Tell us about that.
I just like the idea that God always knows what's in our heart, that no matter where we are or how we're doing, he's there. He knows where we are. Now, what's Abaddon?
Both of those are the places of the dead.
Okay, I knew that Sheol was. But,
Yes.
you know,
Abaddon is literally destruction. It's a place and state of the dead. They're both. That's what they both are.
Okay.
But basically, yeah, if death is open bare before God, how much more human hearts? Yes. There's a whole lot of thing about, I mean, again, it's the teacher time and time again, those who are wise will listen to instruction and those who are foolish don't. Over and I mean, like it's as if he had posters of it up in the classroom.
Probably did if there were posters in those days.
Yeah, or at least stone tablets of it. I like all the days of the poor are hard, but a cheerful heart has a continual feast.
Mhm.
Mhm.
You know, I'm actually going to Newberry today. One of Rachel had two very close friends at summer, and one of their grandfather died. And so I'm preaching his funeral tomorrow, so I'm going to meet with the family. Margaret, this woman is probably, when I met you, you reminded me of her.
Mhm.
And wonderful woman. We would spend like Easter, we would eat Easter dinner at her house, because let me tell you, when you would go to a covered dish dinner, I would always ask what she made, because I was eating whatever she made. Best cook I've ever, bar none. But Rachel was really close to the granddaughter, and so they have an interim right now. And having been the grandchild of one interim buried, no. I mean, unless they've been there for a while, it's just no. But they, but anyway, I'm going there today for that, and a lot of times you'll hear those folks, because that church was in a mill village, and still is. The mill's gone, but the village is still there. And you'll hear them talk about, we were all poor, but we didn't know it.
Mhm.
And it's that cheerful heart. And in seminary, it was very much like that, except for the whole school part. I mean, the community was great. And, look, we were among the wealthy because I was living with the first year teacher. I think she was making $22,000 a year when she started out. Now, granted, that was in 1996, but still, that wasn't a lot of money, even in 96. And not when you're paying for grad school. And so, we were poor, but the cheerful heart, it overcomes a lot of that. What else? What are the other ones that stand out?
Like 16, it says, better a little with the fear of the Lord than great wealth with turmoil.
Yes. I also like that one.
It goes back to the root of all evil, not the root. Money is the bad thing. It's the love of money.
Yeah. And again, remember that wisdom is defined as the fear of the Lord. I mean, that's the bottom line of fear, of wisdom, is the fear of the Lord. And so the great treasure, then to have a great treasure and trouble with it. But yes, So that is very much what it's about. What are the other ones that jump to you, or that you might have questions about?
Number 13, I thought was interesting, because if you're feeling cheerful, if you're having a glad heart, it's easier to smile. But when there's great sorrow in your heart, then I think it shows on your face.
Yes. Well, and I think, I've often I define joy and happiness differently.
Mhm.
To me, they're not the same. Joy is a state of being, and happiness is an emotion.
Yeah.
Whereas even in sadness, you can have joy. But sorrow in their heart, that is just deep and abiding, like depression, soul crushing. And even when you're happy, there's sorrow in your heart. I mean, it's soul crushing. I mean, I think that what does it say? The spirit is broken. And if you've ever had your spirit broken or seen someone with their spirit broken, I mean, it's awful, when it's just awful.
Well, in verse 8, the Lord detests the sacrifice of the wicked. What kind of sacrifice does the wicked make that he detests? What is sacrifice?
Well, I mean, for them, that would be worship.
So they're doing it for the wrong reasons.
Well, I mean, if you remember in Amos, and then again in what's the one that we just finished studying, Hugh?
Obadiah.
Yeah.
Obadiah.
Well, I think it was the one before that, but it might have been Obadiah. Yeah, no, it was Amos and then Obadiah. Yeah, I mean or maybe even it was in Isaiah last week, where it talks about how God abhors, like, I can't stand your sacrifices and your incense and all that stuff, and I think it alludes to that.
Yeah, I think that was Isaiah.
Yeah. I think it says basically the same thing, or actually they say the same thing as this does, because Proverbs precedes either of those. But yeah,
the hypocritical nature.
Yeah. And a sacrifice for them was a bigger deal than a prayer. I mean, well, it is for us too, right? I mean, and like, well, you can pray anytime, anywhere, but I mean, just compare it to going to church.
Mm-hmm.
God can't stand it to watch you worship, to watch the evil show up at church Sunday after Sunday, but the good, he's happy with the prayer. I mean, that's kind of what he's saying. But yeah, that's the sacrifice you're talking about. It's the sacrifices at the temple. So, all right. Anything else from that section? Well, let's move on to the next one, which is the rest of the chapter. 20 to 33, consequences of righteousness and wickedness. A wise child makes a glad father, but the foolishness despise their mother. Folly is a joy to one who has no sense, but a person of understanding walks straight ahead. Without counsel, plans go wrong, but with many advisors, they succeed. To make an apt answer is a joy to anyone, and a word in season, how good it is. For the wise, the path of life leads upward in order to avoid Sheol below. The Lord tears down the house of the proud, but maintains the widow's boundaries. Evil plans are an abomination to the Lord, but gracious words are pure. Those who are greedy for unjust gain make trouble for their households, but those who hate bribes will live. The mind of the righteous ponders how to answer, but the mouth of the wicked pours out evil. The Lord is far from the wicked, but he hears the prayer of the righteous. The light of the eyes rejoices the heart, and good news refreshes the body. The ear that heeds wholesome admonition will lodge among the wise. Those who ignore instruction despise themselves, but those who heed admonition gain understanding. The fear of the Lord is instruction in wisdom, and humility goes before honor. So read through those and we'll talk about it.
Playing from Stephen's iPhone.
All right, y'all ready? So which one speaks to you from those?
I like 24, the path of the life. The path of life leads upward for the wise to keep him from going down to the grave.
Yeah, and the NIV does word that a bit differently. But I mean, I think the meaning is the same.
I like 23. To make an apt answer is a joy to anyone, and a word in season, how good it is. And that makes me think of someone who gives comfort or says something that is just right for the moment. You know, some people can just know what you need to hear and they say it. And that's sort of what I felt like that meant.
Yeah. I really like 22. It speaks to leadership. Without counsel, plans go wrong, but with many advisors, they succeed.
Mhm.
You
I have
know,
22 marked as well.
yeah, because when you try to come up with all the answers all by yourself,
Mhm.
you're going to miss something. But when you have a group of people around you, when you put your heads together, when you look at things in different ways, it tends to go a lot better. And you know, you've got more people thinking about it, working on it. What else?
I like 33.
Why is that?
All right, the NIV says the fear of the Lord teaches a man wisdom, and humility comes before honor. And I think that sort of speaks to attitude, and that I equate the fear of the Lord with revering God and respect for his commands, and being a humble person, not proud, and thinking that it's all about you.
I was reading Exodus yesterday, the call of Moses, and in it, Moses, when speaking to the burning bush, says, "Who am I to go to Pharaoh?" And God's response is, "I'll be with you."
Right.
And and again, I mean, throughout all of history, I mean, if you think about it, all of history, Moses is one of the most famous, important people over the course of the whole in history of the entire world. Moses is one of those people. And his first response is, "Who am I?"
Right.
I mean, now we'd be like, "Well, dude, you're Moses." I mean, you know, they make movies about you with Charlton Heston.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, but it really is, and it's that humility, and that comes before honor. I'm also watching a show called Dr. Death, and it's a true story about this doctor in he was in Texas, and he paralyzed and killed a bunch of people. He was a neurosurgeon, and he was a horrible neurosurgeon, to the point he's now in prison because of how bad of a neurosurgeon he was, because and he was so arrogant that he he basically never learned how to do surgery. He graduated from Tennessee with a PhD and an MD. But because I think he was getting his PhD and it was like in some sort of stem cell research, and everybody was awed by his research and stuff, that they allowed him to sort of skate by on the whole surgical thing. And then he went and got like a surgical fellowship, and the guy he was under was like, well, all you're going to do is watch me. And so he was like, nah, I don't need you. But his arrogance is just so like, I'm the best. You're not going to find anybody better than me. This, it doesn't get any better than this. And like, it was always somebody else's fault. Something always happened. Somebody else messed up. But like, they showed one surgery, he took out a tumor that was part of somebody's esophagus. He paralyzed his best friend, quadriplegic. I mean, it's just horrible things. I haven't, it's like a 8-show series. It's on Peacock Network. But it's like I heard the podcast about it several years ago, and it's just, but arrogance. And an arrogant person honors themselves way more than they'll ever get honored by others.
Right.
Mhm. Stephen, I liked verse 28. The mind of the righteous ponders how to answer, but the mouth of the wicked pours out evil. In other words, if you stop to think and give a good answer, that really helps. But there are people that just sort of like gossip, I guess.
But I'm not sure that it's a either or though here. I mean, it's almost like two separate, to me, these are two separate proverbs in one.
Okay.
Well, I mean, simply because just because you don't stop to think doesn't mean you're wicked.
Mm-mm.
Otherwise, I'm in trouble. I mean, I like the first part. I really like the mind of the righteous ponders how to answer. But the mouth of the wicked pours out evil.
That sort of, Stephen, when I think of what popped in my mind was people who tell untruths about other people.
Yeah. Without even stopping to think what they're doing.
Yeah. Sometimes they stop and think what they're doing, and they don't care. They want to hurt that person.
True.
They're wicked.
Yes.
And the NIV actually says the first part of that a little bit differently, where the version version that you're using talks about the mind. It talks about the heart. It says the heart of the righteous weighs its answers. And both of them are considering what you're going to say, but I think both the heart and the mind would be to think both with your heart and your mind before you start answering would be a wise thing to do.
Yes.
Yeah, because your mind may have a factual answer, but when it's filtered through the heart, it becomes an answer with love.
Right. And thinking about the impact it's going to have, not just thinking about rationally what you're going to say.
Right.
I think one would have compassion.
Yes. So what else? What else is in this one that jumps out at you? Well, okay then. All right. So next week we'll move on to chapter 16. Unless y'all have any more questions, comments, or complaints. Hearing none, we will move on. All right. Well, y'all have a great week, and I will see you soon.
Okay,
All right.
Y'all take care.
bye.
Bye-bye.